It all started with the original Moto Razr craze, but the anorexia pandemic spread fast as a bushfire, engulfing the smartphone universe as well. Now one can argue that too slim of a handset is of a dubious ergonomic and pick up from the desk value, but slim handsets can't be denied their gorgeous looks, plus they usually attribute to the company's manufacturing prowess. This is Daniel from PhoneArena, and today we're showing you 10 of the handsets that belong to the 7mm and below gang, which have been introduced in the last year or so. Gionee just pulled the curtains on its newest Android handset, the Elife S5.1. Its predecessor, the S5.5, was released not long ago and quickly became notable for its body thickness at an ultra-thin 0.22 inches, 5.5mm. Now Gionee has outdone itself yet again, producing a smartphone whose sides measure a groundbreaking 0.2 inches, 5.15mm. Aside from being fashionably skinny, the Gionee Elife S5.1 is a compact and beautiful phone with more refined looks than its predecessor. Alas, the trade-off is that Gionee has opted for mid-range internals for one reason or another. Possibly not to strain the 2100 mAh battery it somehow managed to fit in this chassis. The Gionee Elife S5.5 is a truly stunning piece of design. It is so thin we actually dropped it twice trying to get used to that slimness. The exact thickness measure is 5.5mm, 0.22 inches, while the Galaxy S5, for instance, is nearly 50% thicker. It is made out of glass and the sides are made of metal. That makes it look extremely sleek. As for specs, it doesn't disappoint with a 5-inch 1080p display, an octa-core processor and a 13-megapixel camera on the back. Vivo, the high-end brand of PBK, which is also behind the Oppo and OnePlus handsets, has never ceased to amaze us with intriguing smartphones, which are unfortunately priced as such. Take the Vivo X3 for instance. Announced last summer, it still commands a flagship price even in China, and for good reason. The phone sports a gorgeous 0.26 inches, 5.75mm thin body, still fitting a 5-inch HD display in there. The power is strong with this one, as last year's Huawei's flagship struts its 0.24 inches, 6.18mm physique with the aplomb of Alessandro Ambrosio on the catwalk. While we can only tongue-in-cheek call Sony's Xperia Z Ultra a phone, the 6.4-incher was the thinnest watertight smartphone upon introduction last summer, which speaks volumes about Sony's engineering prowess. It features a 0.26 inches, 6.5mm chassis, 1080p display and a speedy Snapdragon 800 processor too. At 0.26 inches, 6.5mm, the Ascend P7 might be thicker than the P6 and a full millimeter thicker than the Elife S5.5. Yet in smartphone terms, it is one of the most anorexic handsets out there, beautifully clad in glass and steel to boot and with a 5-inch 1080p display. As for the references to the iPhone design, well, it's not only Huawei that is milking that cow, plus the iPhone 5S, for example, is a full millimeter and change thicker than the Ascend P7. Going with the flow, Samsung outed its long-awaited metal-clad handset under the title Galaxy Alpha, indicating there might be more to come in this line. It turned out that the Alpha is not exactly made out of the premium material, rather only the frame and the side rim, but nevertheless it clocks at only 0.26 inches, 6.7mm, making it the thinnest handset of the world's largest smartphone maker and one of its lightest. Last year's Alcatel flagship, the One Touch Idol X, really made the rounds as it featured one of the slimmest chassis out there at 0.27 inches, 6.9mm. The Lenovo Vibe X, introduced late last year, is a 6.9mm and 121 grams slim and sleek device with fine internals. Under the hood you'll find a 5-inch 1080p display, quad-core MediaTek, a 13-megapixel rear camera with autofocus and a 5-megapixel front camera with wide-angle lens. Last but not least in our batch of 10, here's another Sony handset, the 5.3-inch T3 that got introduced last month with the whopping for this ranking 0.28 inches, 7mm thickness. Anyway you slice it though, and you can do some slicing with this one. The Xperia T3 is still one of the thinnest smartphones out there and looks pretty with its stainless steel frame.